This is Roger Stone telling you that liberty prevails.
Major League Liberty. Defending life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And our happiness is always destroying the globalist agenda, exposing the flaws in fake news media, and of course, providing excellent entertainment.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is your boy, Liberty Logan, back at you with another episode of Major League Liberty, even after the marathon that we did last night of just rioting that we've seen before, and then BLM and Antifa fighting each other, which was just so satisfying that I couldn't get over it, and I had to stay up till midnight. But we got another one for you today. This is going to be another one of our regular shows, just sitting back, shooting the shit. We got special guest Toph Ensign that I'll be bringing up here in just a little bit. But before we get into all that, I want to remind you guys, thank you so much for joining us. Go ahead, check out MajorLeagueLiberty.live. Check out our Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, Gab. Not exactly sure which one we're going to go with right off the bat on those, but we're going to go with one of them. So if this is your first time joining us, thanks for it. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy the show. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up our guest right now, Mr. Toph Ensign. Toph, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Oh, good. It was a night last night, and it was one that I needed. It was really fun to see. So I am doing great. I am absolutely fantastic. So before we get into all this, man, why'd you want to come on the show?
Oh, well, I've got opinions on just about everything, and I know a thing or two about a thing or two. You know, based on you and I hanging out and shooting the shit for, what was it, 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah,
it passed in like 10 minutes the other day.
Yep. Yeah, it was a fun time, man. I enjoyed it. Yeah, definitely some thought-provoking conversation. I enjoyed that. Plus, now I know who my new favorite shooting buddy is, so that's going to be a thing.
Well, I don't have any guns. I lost them all in a boating accident.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I was out on Blue Mesa Reservoir in this little kayak thing, and I capsized, and right by the dam.
What's more impressive about all that is you were able to get all those guns and a wheelchair on that kayak. I just don't understand how that happened.
I know, right? I mean, I'm just talented that way.
Yeah. Well, there's a will, there's a way, right?
You know it. You know it.
All right, so, I mean, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, man. There's been a lot of things going on in the news recently, especially with, the military attacking people for not going along with their maternity flight suit ideas and lowering the standards of pull-ups, so now women have to do pull-ups, but they don't have to do as many.
Well, that was the case back in the mid-'90s.
Well, they used to have to do like an arm hang, right? Like a flexed arm hang.
I don't remember that, but I remember that the qualifications for women were different than that of men.
Yeah, no, they are. Now what they're saying is that the qualifications for women are the same as men, but they just lowered all of the qualifications for everybody to make it more inclusive. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now that's smart, because we want to weaken our fighting forces.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
That's exactly what I'm looking for right now with China on the rise. Is us
yeah,
weakening.
I mean, China bringing up all their goons and their activities in the South China Sea that they say they own and all that other stuff and their posturing and everything. Yeah, I want a significantly weaker fighting force. And then you have all that stuff with the Navy that was going on with their inclusivity stuff, critical race theory and whatnot.
Well, it's a cancer that's infecting all of the armed forces because it's coming from the top brass, all the way down. Like the new guy, what's his name? General Honore, I believe, is the, what is he? He's not a Joint Chief. He's the SecDef, I think. But, something like that.
Yeah, Secretary of the Navy or something.
Nah, he's Army. I know that, but
Okay.
I forget the position. But either way, he had the power to pretty much stop all military operations for something like 30 days while they went and they tried to purge what they were calling white supremacy out of the military after the January 6th riots. Yeah.
Yeah, the 30-day stand down. That was a smart idea.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, all this is crazy because you did bring up the South China Sea, what they've been doing there, building man-made islands that they're essentially turning into extremely large bases. And, I mean, this has been going on for a long time. It's not necessarily anything new. But what's floored me about it is it's always like this whisper in the background. Like, nobody's really talking about it, but everyone kind of knows about it. So, I mean, obviously, them trying to say that they own the South China Sea and then building these military bases out in maritime waters where it's international waters, yet they're still claiming they own it. Like, I mean, in past times, that alone would have been an act of war. And China does seem to be on a huge war footing when it comes to dealing with us, but we don't seem to be on a very huge war footing when it comes to dealing with them. And I mean, I don't think this administration is going to help that at all. Do you have any hope for it? Because
with this administration, no. I mean, right now I believe China has a larger navy than the United States, but our equipment is superior to theirs. So that's about the only hope that I have.
Yep. But for how long,
Yeah, it's going to be a limited time. It's if we continue down the path that we're on, we're FUBAR.
Yeah, essentially. And it seems like all of our elites and all of our higher-ups are just selling us down that river faster and faster as the days go by so they can get their slice of the pie whenever the entire country goes down.
Oh, yeah. It's not the politicians that we have in office, the Pelosi's, the Schumers, the AOCs, the Bidens, the Harrises, and, all of them from the top down. They're not only America last, but they're me first. Mm-hmm. They've got they're in office to enrich themselves,
and they're doing a very good job of it. Because I mean, every single one of these guys goes in, maybe not making a lot of money beforehand, and then the second they come out, 3 mansions, multi-millionaire, book deals, all this stuff, jet setting around, private jets.
Yeah, as the meme went, I'm not concerned about a billionaire going into the White House and coming out a millionaire. I'm concerned about a middle-class person going into Congress and coming out a trillionaire, mm-hmm. or something to that effect.
Yeah, it's true, and that's exactly what we should be afraid about with these politicians. Yet it's another thing that we've fallen asleep at the wheel at, and we've allowed these people to divide us so much that even though we all agree that that should not be happening, we're not fighting it because we're too busy fighting each other over things that are stupid, like this Antifa and BLM bullshit of them just continually rioting in the streets over and over again over these fake grievances that, if you look at it, are not designed to have a solution. And
no, they aren't.
Yeah.
No, there's no solution. There's no plan. There's no way to deal with it or combat it. It's just, okay, we're here. We're going to, we've got foreign dignitaries going over to China, dropping their drawers and letting them stick a swab up their ass.
Yeah, very dignified on our part. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's, I think under the Trump administration, they would have said, yeah, no.
I don't know. I just feel like as a person, I would have said, yeah, no. I mean, how much power does the CCP have over even our diplomats in their own country, where the diplomats were just like, oh, okay, well, if they want to stick something up my ass, I guess they're going to do it anyways. Like, you're a United States diplomat. Can you conduct yourself with, like, a little modicum of self-respect? Like, what the hell is that? I mean, each and every single day, I am losing more and more and more hope. I mean, I don't even think I have any hope left, but I'm losing more and more and more confidence in literally every institution, every government agency, no matter what it is, the military, police, all of it. Like, I've lost all hope for any of those ever coming back, and I don't know a solution to either get them back, do away with them, and replace them with something else. I don't know. Because it just seems no matter what, the same type of people are going to get into that position.
Well, I think with the military and the police and the movement to defund the police, I think that's a huge problem. Most of the good cops, well, at least in my opinion, the intelligent ones have said, okay, yeah, no, I'm done. And I'm not going to do this to keep a paycheck, and they're out. And I won't say that all cops are bad, but I think there's a lot more of them out on the streets or in departments that are doing it just for a paycheck, and they're going to say, okay, all right, I'll go enforce this unconstitutional edict because I need a job.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something I saw at DOC a lot. Of course, I'm not going to name any names, but so many conversations that we had about like in between officers and sergeants and even sometimes lieutenants about normalization rolling out and how like we thought it was a bad idea. Like, we don't see how this is getting justice for victims. We don't see how this is helping somebody reform themselves just by making things easier on them. If you make it easier on them, then they're not going to try to change. Like, we had these kind of conversations because at the end of the day, most of the people that do that job, and I will say most, actually do care. But a lot of them too, after having those conversations and realizing that there's not a lot they can do about it, just say, hey, is that check clear at the end of the week? Yep. Well, then I guess this is what we're doing now. And I mean, it is what it is. They're not willing to, they might think it's wrong, but they're not willing to sacrifice yet anyway, their income, their kids' school, their cars, their house, all the stuff that they built with them and their family. And it's a hard thing to give up, and I think like if it ever came down to something terrible, like, saying, oh, you got to go and arrest people for literally doing nothing just because we think they might do something in the future, I think most of them would stop at that point. But you're always going to have a certain percentage that just goes along to get along and is always going to want that paycheck over everything else. And they completely forgot about their oath, couldn't recite it to you today if you asked them. And it's sad, but true.
Yeah, that's a big problem. But I will say that, I do have some hope, at least with my local PD. I won't say where I live, but my interactions with the local PD, I've asked them, off the record, and I didn't even ask name, and I didn't look at name tags or badge numbers or anything like that. Said, what do you think about that red flag law? Is that something that you would enforce? And every cop that I've talked to has said, yeah, no, I won't do that. It's dangerous because, they want us to show up to somebody's house unannounced and demand their guns, and we've got guns, and it's just going to be bad for everybody.
Yeah, and luckily there aren't a whole lot of higher-ups that would ask him to do that, but if it gets high profile enough, if that same cop is told to do it, maybe that is their line in the sand, maybe it isn't, but the thing is, for a lot of them it won't be, because those things are still getting enforced. We all know it. We've all seen it. So, I don't know. I mean, on that subject, I just wish more officers would remember their oath. I mean, I was there on the Law Enforcement Appreciation Day in Denver where DPD got a stand-down order, and that's where everything switched for me. And personally, I mean, people throughout the law enforcement community can get pissed at this or not. I don't really care. I don't consider those who break their oath actual law enforcement officers anymore, because that's the entire basis of being a law enforcement officer is your oath to the Constitution and to the Constitution of the state that you're working in. That's first and foremost beyond everything else, and that's why you're supposed to take it, and you're supposed to take it seriously.
I totally agree. And, I forget what the U.S. code is, but there is a U.S. code for violating the oath of office. Mm-hmm. And now see, my problem is that we could theoretically have a citizen's arrest of these politicians who violate their oath of office. But the problem we have is we need a DA that's willing to prosecute. And we don't have that because the people who are violating their oath of office also appoint the DA.
Yep. I mean, it's not even just that. Nobody is going to back up a citizen's arrest. It's a lost concept. It's not going to happen. I mean, like, literally, the only way it would work is if you saw somebody shoot somebody and then you went up and stopped them and somehow detained them or whatever. The concept of the citizen's arrest is a dead concept. It's non-existent anymore. Not even in theory, in my opinion. Nobody's going to back it up. And in fact, you're probably going to screw yourself over just trying to do it. So
yeah, and that's why I said in theory. I mean, the concept is still there, but it's not utilized and it's not enforceable, and nobody backs it up.
Right. Yeah, I mean, even in the best of scenarios, like the whole Ahmaud Arbery thing was a guy trying to effect a citizen's arrest, essentially. I mean, I don't remember the entire story, but that's essentially what it was, is they were trying to go out and do a citizen's arrest. I don't know why they were thinking that was a good plan, but just it's not a good plan. I don't care if you're former law enforcement, even like most former law enforcement will tell you, yeah, you can, follow somebody and tell them where the guy is and tell the police that, but you're not the one that's going to go out and actually stop them. That's
right.
Just stupid.
Yeah, you're going to put yourself in the situation where you can be, I guess it would be kidnapping or something like that.
False imprisonment.
False imprisonment for detaining somebody who you saw broke the law. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's just and there's no longer a partnership between community and police. It's turned into an us against them thing.
In a lot of places, I don't think that's everywhere. Smaller towns, it definitely isn't the case. But
no, you're absolutely right. Small town America, no, it's everybody knows everybody, and they see Officer Friendly in the local diner and say, "Hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee?" And hey, thanks. It goes on like that. But when you get into suburbia and the major metropolitan areas, that's where it turns into us against them.
Yeah, and that's never been more on display than it is now, and I think a lot of that is, yes, back, in the past, I'm not going to say policing was perfect, because it definitely was not, but carrying that over and just assuming that it's always going to be that bad when a lot of these agencies have made great strides and accomplished those strides to not be that way, and now the pendulum's swinging too far in the other direction that it's making it dangerous just for everybody around. And, I mean, maybe it has to do that to kind of even out, but right now, I think we're in a very dangerous situation with all that. And I mean, it goes back to the whole society as a whole, again, is the entire pendulum has swung so far to the left that the craziest of the leftist ideas now have traction and are actually being implemented in a lot of different places. And the military and police and all these social institutions, I mean, they're letting rioters go while they're trying to lock up people who, like, even were at the January 6th rally, not even going into the Capitol. But, you smash a whole bunch of windows, try to set a police station on fire with people inside it. DA says, well, fuck it, you're good to go. It's definitely a two-tiered justice system, which it was never supposed to be. And I don't know, man. We're in a very, it's weird for me to even try to talk about like policies that Joe Biden's making or anything like that anymore, because it just feels so secondary to what's going on. It does.
You've got all the gun control measures that are being proposed and everything else. You've got what is it, HR 8 and HR 1446. I think that, well, they passed through. It was one of them. It was either the House or the Senate and moved on to the other one. I think they're going to die there. And then you've got Dianne Feinstein's Gun Control Act of 2021, which is real similar to the assault weapons ban of 94. And, but it's broader now. The Democrats are wanting to impose firearms registration and make secondary market sales completely illegal. You have to go through a background check, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's just nuts with what they're trying to do. And I'm hoping that the filibuster remains intact so that these bills do not get put onto Creepy Joe's desk and signed into law.
Yeah, and again, I wouldn't hold my breath on that when it's a completely Democrat-controlled government as we have right now. They're pretty much just going to do whatever they want. The only question I have now is there any debt they won't sink to, and I don't think that there is. So that's why I feel like talking about these policies is very secondary. I mean, we can come out and explain why they're harmful and stupid, and we have ad nauseum at this point. I mean, not just citizens, but politicians, right-wing politicians like Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, those guys. I mean, like them or hate them, they at least came out and were talking about how stupid this was. But they're essentially powerless to do anything besides that, and it doesn't matter how much they oppose it or even what the polls are for the American people. These guys are going to push through the most quote-unquote progressive agenda they possibly can with complete disregard for anything else. And I just don't know how far they're going to be able to make it before people snap. That's really the only question I have nowadays is how far are they going to go before people snap? Because they are going to go as far as they possibly can, all the way up to and including absolute authoritarianism. They're already talking about truth and reconciliation commissions here in Colorado. They've already passed that bill about having to quote-unquote lock up your guns here, which of course has far more in it than just that, and even that is unconstitutional. So I do not have much hope. It's just not good.
Oh no, I'm losing hope, and historically, the Republicans have been the obstructionist party. They don't advance any bills that are pro-freedom. I mean, the Democrats will push for health care for all and a UBI or a minimum wage or whatever. But the Republicans, they don't say, okay, if you want universal health care, we want to pass a law that makes it mandatory for every American to own a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of obstructing, the Republicans, I think, need to start advancing pro-freedom, pro-Second Amendment bills.
Well, they needed to start advancing that when they actually had control of the Senate and control of the House. They didn't do jack shit when they had control of either two of those. Now they can't advance anything. They're not going to. There's no way.
No, they won't, because they're spineless.
It's not because they won't be able to do it now. They don't have the majority in the House, so none of the bills they propose there are going to gain any traction and get out of the House. And even if they do, the tiebreaker in the Senate is heels up Harris. So you would have to have like Joe Manchin siding with Republicans on every single one of those bills because he's probably the only one that's going to do it. And even then, I highly doubt it would get out of the House to begin with. And it has to be voted on both, and then when it gets up to the president, all Joe Biden has to do is veto it. He probably isn't even going to know that he's vetoing it. Someone just told him to sign that piece of paper, and then he does it. That's the way it works now. It's
I don't
sad.
even know what I'm signing. Just sign it.
Yeah, just sign it. It's like, what'd you do? Oh, you just signed over the nuclear codes to Nancy Pelosi because she's obsessed with them for some reason. All of a sudden.
Right. Yeah. You don't get to have the nuclear codes anymore because you're senile.
Yeah, which
You
I
know,
guess good, but who are you going to give them to? Pelosi and Harris? Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know. Just grr. I really don't even know how to respond to that one. You've got Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They're just champing at the bit for more power, and then we've got glorious Lord Pole Smoker here in Colorado that's extending mask mandates that, even according to the CDC, the effectiveness of wearing a mask is statistically insignificant.
Yeah. Well, it's not only that. I'm pretty sure he's also caving to the teachers' unions and not having kids go back to school, even though it's also been proven through the CDC that the coronavirus is less deadly for children than the seasonal flu.
Right. Yeah. We're what? We're over a year into 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Yeah, it was to flatten the curve. That's what it was supposed to be. It's just like, we know there's going to be a spike, so chill out for a little bit, and then you're good to go. The second they were saying that, I'm like, they're not going to just stop at 2 weeks. And, of course, they didn't. I mean...
Oh, no. The second, that 15-day mark, it quit being about health and safety, and it turned into power and control.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think it was ever about health and safety personally. I don't think they were ever really afraid of the coronavirus. I think they were just using it.
Oh yeah, it was all about health and control or power and control.
Mm-hmm. And people just went right along with it. Like, I don't know. I think if any good is coming out of this, which don't get me wrong, I think there is good coming out of this, is more and more people now are getting red-pilled by the day. I mean, you have Antifa out there chanting fuck Biden and stuff like that, which I knew they were going to do anyway because it was never about that. They just wanted to hate whoever was in office.
Yeah, nobody likes Biden.
Yeah, but it's like no one likes Biden for some reason, and he got more votes than anybody in history. People are starting to question that again now that it's like they're thinking about it a little bit. But... not only that, Antifa and BLM numbers, even though we did see large crowds, they're dwindling. I mean, it's nowhere near the size it was last summer. Now, that could just be because they're getting ramped up again. You never know. It might be because of that, but I don't really think so.
I think weather has a lot to do with it, especially here. I think that it will get ramped up again when it starts getting warm again.
Yeah.
And, they're going to start chanting, let's protect the criminals, and I'm not going to say the names because they were criminals. That guy in Minneapolis who had fentanyl in his system and several other drugs, no justice for him. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We got a criminal that was strung out on drugs. And then we've got that woman in wherever it was that was dating the drug dealer.
Mm-hmm. Louisville. Yeah. That's why they were rioting last night. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
It is what it is, but I guess common sense isn't all that common anymore, man. I mean, that's just... The freaking Gorilla Glue girl. That one is still pissing me off. She puts fucking Gorilla Glue in her hair, acting like that's going to be a good idea, and then is just shocked when it's like, oh, this isn't a hair care product, and now it's fused to my fucking scalp? Yeah, dumbass! And now she has an agent, she has a fucking publicist, she's getting millions of dollars, she's probably going to write a fucking rap album or something. I don't know what she's going to do with the agent and the publicist and the manager, but she's getting paid for putting Gorilla Glue in her hair and suing a company for not having a fucking warning on glue that says do not use this as a hair care product.
Well, that's why we have warning labels like on things like Preparation H that say do not take orally.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of warnings that they have on the side of a gas can nowadays.
You can't get it. You can't buy a gas can that works.
No, and it's because they have to have these dumbass safety things and all that, but the warnings on the side is like 400 different ways to say, hey, this shit is flammable. It's just stupid.
Right. It's, I don't understand how. Well, actually, I do. It started in the 50s with the invasion of Marxism in post-secondary education, and then it trickled down into secondary education.
Wait, you're saying that shit started all the way back in the 50s?
Yeah, it did. Look it up.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I just was thinking, shit, I was hoping it was a little bit less ingrained than that.
Well, look at the teachings of Marx. When was Marx around? And his teachings infiltrated secondary or post-secondary schools starting in the 50s.
Yeah, but I mean,
then you had the hippie movement in the 60s with all the Well, you started with the beatniks, and then you had the hippies, and then in the 60s and the 70s, then you had the counterculture, and you had the punk rock movement and stuff like that. And historically, those were all left movements rooted in Marxism.
Yeah, and I still see that influence now. Like I mean, I played Tom McDonald last night on my show, and people may disagree with me on this, and I really don't care. I think rap kind of started out as that new counterculture, but is now slowly but surely being taken back. And it's not even just that; it's all kinds of different music is slowly being taken back. Rock music slowly but surely is being taken back. Even some newer country artists that are more underground, they're starting to take that stuff back, so it's not just stadium love songs that sound like K-pop anymore. So I think that it started off as maybe these people thinking this way, and it kind of getting ingrained into their head, like the Rage Against the Machine types and stuff like that. But I'm sorry, I'm hearing an echo. Crap. But anyway, so I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. So anyway, with all these different types of music and stuff. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I have a friend who is, he's called me a couple of times, and he's on the left, and he's tried to reach out to me, and he's tried to, understand my way of thinking. And, it's been so long since I've had a conversation like that it's been kind of hard for me to actually really relay my opinions the way I used to be able to, because admittedly I'm out of practice. A lot of the times it's people don't actually want to hear it. They just want to call me a Nazi and move on. So I've had to kind of work at it. I'm getting it back. It's not taking too long, but I can see all those things that you're talking about being ingrained in secondary education, the punk rock movements, the early rap kind of music movements, and they always do it with music no matter what the new thing coming out is, kind of slowly but surely ingraining it into people, and they don't really know why they believe what they believe. They just know it was cool to believe it.
Right. And it's...
And I'm not saying that's him if he's watching. Sorry, I had to add that.
Well, yeah. No, fair enough. But I was watching Timcast IRL the other day, and I forget the name of the guest, but he brought up the subject of political warfare. And he said that it's the most important concept that you've never heard of. And I listened to what he had to say, and I think he's right, because what's going on in this country is political warfare. It's not a fight for territories or anything like that. It's a domination of the left in the arena of ideas. Yep. And that's where we're suffering, because the American public, and I hadn't even really thought of it before I heard that phrase. It's absolutely true. I mean, the reason we lost Vietnam is not because of inferior equipment or an unsustained or an unsupported fighting force. We lost it on American soil with the likes of Hanoi Jane and other propagandists.
Yeah, Hanoi Jane can suck my dick.
I wouldn't even let her do that. I wouldn't let her suck my dog's dick.
Burn.
I don't know where I don't know where that thing's been.
Probably a lot of places that I don't want to think about. So now that you brought that up, touche, you win. Yeah, I wouldn't let her do it. But anyway, yeah. Oh man, I like that's still like that's one of those things that I can never. That's why like not even close to the same thing. I will say that, but that's why I disrespected Colin Kaepernick so much for doing what he did. It's like, look, you can disagree with our country and everything like that, but whose team are you fighting for at the end of the day? You know, are you on our side, or do you want to tear down everything that America has ever built, ever was, everything your ancestors went through to make it a better place? Because, I mean, you can go back, like, this is why it pisses me off so much that I guess they're talking about the role models for black children being people like Louis Farrakhan, or like these crazy race-baiting assholes, or like Cardi B, who, you know, comes out with that just I mean, WAP, wet ass pussy. It's like, okay, great, you're a fucking lyrical genius. Like, I mean, it's just, oh, but no, it's women's empowerment. But these are like all of the role models, and I don't understand why. When you can go back in history, look at people like the Tuskegee Airmen, great role models, you know, like, right.
Well, that, and you know, you have, I mean, even going back to the Civil War. Yeah. You know, you had black regiments that fought and died and kicked a lot of ass in the Civil War. Yeah. You know, they were wonderful soldiers, and they were
brave as shit too.
Yeah, they were called Buffalo Soldiers. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I don't remember why, but I used to know that.
Yeah, I did.
But
at one point.
And then you had you know, like you were saying, the Tuskegee Airmen. You had regiments in World War I, World War II.
Harlem Hellfighters. Harlem Hellfighters are famous for kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, and then, you know, you had the Republicans in the '60s who who basically ushered in desegregation, and all the Democrats have voted against desegregation. Mm-hmm. And now you have the Democrats again pushing for segregation.
Yeah, it's just under the guise of we're helping you now somehow.
Right. I don't understand how that works.
I don't know, man. And this is the thing that frustrates me, and this is why I do get so pissed off. And I'm trying to get back to the point where I don't just get angry anymore. Because when I started this, I was way more willing to have a conversation. But after getting, you know, 5 years of being called a Nazi and getting browbeaten for it, sometimes you just get pissed. But I'm trying to get back to the point where I want to have these real conversations with people. And it's like I brought up a couple weeks back on my show what actual white supremacists think. I mean, if people knew what actual white supremacists thought in historical context of Darwinism and social Darwinism, eugenics, all of that crap, if they actually knew like phrenology was a real science and people actually believed it, putting themselves in that historical context, they'll see that real white supremacists literally think that because the color of somebody's skin, they are inherently stupider no matter what, and they can never get to a point of being as intellectual as someone else. And some of these guys that were social Darwinists, they actually thought slavery was I guess a mercy, because then at least they'd have shelter and they'd have food, and all they had to do was a little bit of work. It's just putting yourself in that historical context and in like the shoes of people that actually believe that is kind of really hard to do for a lot of people. But this notion that, you know, white supremacists or it's just somebody that disagrees with a black person on something, it's like, no, it's not because I hate him, I just disagree. You know, I don't think he's stupid, I just disagree. But they don't understand that that real ingrained white supremacy is like, no, they literally think they are superior and you are a lesser race. That's what Hitler believed. The Jews were a lesser race.
Well, I mean, look at the attitudes of the Democrats now. I mean, you know, just you know, recently with Creepy Joe saying that blacks don't know how to get online to get in line to register to vote, and then you had that brilliant guy that posted
that thing. Yeah. The
yeah.
TikTok video.
And,
yeah.
And it was absolutely brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's just going around like a kid. That shit was so funny. I mean, that was one of those things that was so funny, but at the same time pissed me off so much because I'm like, Joe Biden probably watched that clip and was just like, is this real? Why would he film himself doing this? And who has the camera? Because it obviously wasn't a black dude. Like, I mean, it's just, God damn it. Joe Biden is a real racist. He actually believes that shit.
He does. And, I think that's throughout the Democrat Party. And, the Joe Blow Democrats, I mean, there's been numerous, like man on the street interviews, asking, these white liberal kids, why don't you think there should be voter ID and, having to present a voter ID? Well, that's because the minorities might not be able to get an ID or know how to get one.
They don't know how.
They don't know how. And then, on the other side of that, that comment, you walk up to, people would walk up to a black guy and say, hey, man, do you know where the DMV is? And they answer it like, yeah, it's down on 5th Street. You go down here, you take a right,
and that's
then
an
you take
old
a
one.
left,
I remember
and it's right
which
there
one
on
you're
your right.
talking about. I remember that was, I think it was Doyle that did one. Maybe not. I don't know. I can't remember, but I remember the exact video you're talking about. Like, he literally just went around and was like, do you know how to get a driver's license? And most people are looking at him like, the fuck you just say to me? Like, yeah, I know how to get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's completely asinine. And those on the left and in the Democrat Party with that mindset, they do believe that blacks and minorities are inferior. And just based on that one answer.
And white liberals today don't even understand that they are the true racists because of that. Because a lot of these guys, like the white BLM allies or white Antifa guys that are fighting for all minorities, they literally think that they have to do it for them because they cannot do it for themselves. They cannot accept freedom themselves. Oh, there's a little guy.
Yeah, Stuart needed to come say hi.
All right. I had to say hi to Stuart, too. I missed him. He's a good boy.
Yeah.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, he is a good boy. He does these ninja kisses and tries to stuff his tongue down my throat, but he's a good little guy. He just wants attention.
Yeah, well, good for him. I enjoyed seeing him. But anyway, but to get back on topic, and even though it's so easy to get distracted by the cuteness, that mentality is the mentality that was perpetrated back during actual slave times. Is we have to help these subhumans because they cannot do it themselves. And I'm sitting over here like, no, I don't need to do anything for a black dude. He's totally capable of running his own life. If he fucks up, well, whatever. We all fuck up from time to time. I don't need to go and rescue the motherfucker because I can't rescue the guy. What am I gonna do? Like,
well, I mean, America, was essentially based on the freedom to fail.
Yeah.
Try something, you fail, you try again. It's, Walt Disney, he had to declare bankruptcy. So did Trump. So did all kinds of other super wealthy people that did something and it failed and tried something again and that failed. And then they figured out how to get it right. We have what we have, or what we had, was the equality of opportunity and the freedom to fail.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Edison, and he failed 1,000 times or whatever.
Yeah.
To make a light bulb that worked.
I love that quote too.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
What's it like to
fail 1,000 times? Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, well, I didn't fail. I just found 900, or I found 1,000 different ways that a light bulb doesn't work.
Yeah. I found 1,000 ways to not make a light bulb.
Right. Or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And, I think that's absolutely brilliant, because the more that we have, the more opportunity that we have to fail, the better off we'll be.
Well, true success comes from nothing but a bucket of failure, because you're never going to get to where you need to be successfully, or for what you want to do successfully, without going through it, trying it over and over and over again, and learning from mistakes you made. I mean, hell, we got what, like 10 people in here. By the way, love all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. Go ahead, share this out. This is Major League Liberty, your boy Liberty Logan, hanging out with my buddy Toph. So share this out on all social media. But I mean, this podcast, and you've seen it happen. We went from having one show which went gangbusters like a while back when we were in Texas, where we had 30,000 people on the show at one point, and at the end it had like 50,000 views. We've had several viral videos, and now we have 10 people. So obviously I fucked up somewhere and we made mistakes somewhere, but we're still coming back, we're still doing it. And yeah, some of it was due to censorship and stuff like that, but at the same time, you got to learn from those mistakes and grow, and I'm not done yet. I'm going to build off of that, and I'm coming back. And you know what? As like I've always said, if I have 5, 10 people watching this, I don't care, because I love to do it, and I'm going to continue to do it. And that's like that heart that you need to have, and you can't be afraid of those failures. You can't be afraid to take a risk and lose it and then come back from that, because that's how you get to success.
Yeah, I remember when MLL first started, we had, there was, 5, 10, 20 people in the chat room. And then, it was a couple years ago, there was, MLL was getting better views than CNN.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that much. Maybe like once or twice.
Well, I'm not going to say consistently, but it sure as hell seemed like more people were watching MLL than were CNN. And, there's the censorship and the throttling and the shadow banning of conservatives. I mean, hell, I achieved a Louis on the Facebook. I have a lifetime ban. I can't get on the Facebook anymore.
I still haven't gotten that. So you know what? You beat me. Good job.
Yeah. Hey, I got to be one of the cool kids.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm getting a complex about it. I'm like, why haven't you banned me yet? What do I have to say? I literally came out on YouTube and said that I was like, yeah, pretty much for the January 6th riot thingy, and if AOC has PTSD, good job. And I still haven't gotten a ban yet. I'm like, okay, I'm just unbannable, I guess. Shit.
Well, I don't know. I think I got my ban by trolling Lord Pole Smoker's Facebook posts. And I was going in there railing against the narrative and talking about things and posting actual statistics, cited where I got my numbers and everything else, and then all of a sudden you're suspended.
See,
please confirm your identity.
Yeah, it's because you're trolling Polis, and he don't like that. He can't handle it.
Right.
Criticism is not his thing. It's not a good idea for him. You can't accept
well,
it.
no, you can't. You can't criticize Lord Pole Smoker.
No, if you do, you're done. I mean, he can do no wrong. He is gay Jesus. He is the second coming of Jesus, just in the form of a gay governor of Colorado. And it's like, honestly, the only reason I bring up the fact that he's gay so much is that's literally the reason he got elected. I mean, let's not fucking mince words here. Every lefty and idiot in Colorado is like, we can have the first gay governor, and they didn't look at anything the guy had done. I'm almost convinced that he's not even gay. I am I'm that close to just being like, I think he did the entire damn thing as a political ploy, because he was a white dude, had none of that intersectionality crap going for him. Gay? And it worked. I don't know. I mean, that's total speculation. I have no evidence for that. But
in all honesty, I don't care if he's gay or not. If he was super straight, I'd still call him Lord Pole Smoker.
Oh, yeah. Wait, by the way, what the hell is super straight all about? Now, I've been deliberately avoiding this so you can tell me about it. And it's been hard. It's been hard to avoid.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I learned about it watching YouTube videos, because I don't really do the Twitter thing, but I guess it's a thing that started on Twitter. This young kid, he says, okay, I identify as super straight. I am only attracted to women that were born female and are natural women.
Just straight?
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But he says, because, the left says, trans women are women, which they're not.
I see where it's going. Okay, I get it.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the left has said, well, you can't just make up your own sexual identity. And it's like, wait,
what?
Isn't that what you did? I mean, come on now.
Yeah, but I mean, to them, it's like if you call yourself super straight, you might as well be calling yourself a super Nazi. Like,
Right.
And the fact that super straight does boil down to SS is kind of funny, but at the same time, like, I get where they were going with it. It's like, because if a dude tries to pass himself off as a woman, not attracted to that, man. I'm just not. If they want to call themselves a woman, fine, but I'm not attracted to every actual biological woman that exists either.
No, me neither. I mean, I don't know any guy that is attracted to every woman.
No.
And I'm especially not attracted to, guys with tits.
Yeah. No amount of hormones is going to get rid of an Adam's apple. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Even Blair White, and not trying to diss on Blair White, but I can still see it. I can still see the Adam's apple.
Well, the thing about it is, you got Bruce Jenner, and and like you're saying, no amount of hormones is going to make your outie an innie.
Yeah.
It's still going to be there.
That's going to take some slicey dicey that is
right.
Yeah. Just the thought hurts. It hurts. But yeah.
But yeah, it started I don't know how much longer it's going to have legs, but the super straight movement, it's kind of funny, and all the lesson. You can't just make up your own sexuality.
I disagree. Yeah, I can.
Well, if you can do it, so can we.
All right, man. Well, I mean, this has been fun. We've been going for about an hour here. I'm glad I finally figured out what super straight is. But if there's one topic that you want to wrap up on, is anything just kind of hitting your mind lately, or what?
Well, it's the topic that's always foremost in my view is gun control, and I follow that pretty close, and it's scary, with what the left is trying to do. I'm hoping that everything that's trying to get passed is going to die, but with that, there's still the chance that with the whore in chief being the deciding vote, it can still get through, and Sleepy Creepy Joe's going to sign any gun control measure that comes across his desk.
He's going to sign anything that comes across his desk because someone's going to tell him to do it, so yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a given. But, I mean, we lost some people. We've only got 5 people in here now.
Who cares? Happens.
I don't know. I'm having a good time bullshitting with you.
Like I said, they're probably getting kicked off of the thing, too, because, that happens.